Hello, this is a quick video about how I make these kinds of threads in Blender for like bottles or pill bottles. So the tricky part here is how to fade the end of the thread here into the rest of the bottle to make it look nice. Now, I've seen videos online and some people spend way too much time, I think, on doing like the perfect quad-based topology here. My version, the way I do it is not perfect mesh, but it's good enough. And no client has ever complained, so I'm gonna start from scratch. So I will just use this scene here, but I will delete these two objects. And like I said, I'm gonna start from scratch. So let me just hide these two real quick so that they're not in the way. Okay, first Shift A mesh, and we're gonna do a cylinder. Now the settings here for doing product visualizations, if you do a bottle or pill bottle or whatever, these settings are very important because we're going to do some sub-D modeling. And so this is basically our base resolution. And you have to think about what do you want to do. The most complicated thing here for the pill bottle is definitely that thread on top. The rest is just a cylinder. And actually the default of 32 is really good for this. Okay. Now, I'm not going to do real-world dimensions here. You should watch my video about the gin tonic bottle, where I bring in a reference image and I scale it to the perfect real-world dimensions and everything is correct. For this tutorial, I'm just focusing on the thread, so I'm going to just have a huge pill bottle here with a radius of 1 meter. Okay, so the 32, like I said, is good. However, I do not want top or bottom filled. Let me hide this guy too. Now let's right click and shade smooth. So that gives us this. And now we're just gonna really quickly create some sort of pill bottle. So we go into edit mode and we select this. I'm gonna go extrude on the C axis, then scale this in, extrude again on the C axis, and this is where we're gonna have our thread. Now, right away, I can add a subdivision surface modifier, bring that up to 3, so we get a nice round shape. And we have to add a loop cut here to bring this in. We, of course, also have to add a loop cut here to bring this in. Okay, now at the bottom, we left it open, so let's select this, extrude, scale, extrude scale. So this is how you fill the bottom, and then just F to fill that. For something like this, hold on, Control R, add a loop cut down here, and then probably select this and bring it in, GG, bring it up. Something like that to get a nice round bottom here. Could probably move that out a little. Okay, but that's really not what we're here for. Anyway, I want to make a decent looking product here. So how do we make the thread up here? With that circle selected from the top, I'm gonna go Shift D to have the circle, escape, and then P, separate by selection. Now I have a separate object. I can actually hide this one, so we're only looking at this guy here. And really all I'm interested in is this one vertex here. So I'm gonna select this guy and then go select invert and remove all of the vertices. So now I have a vertex in exactly the right position, and notice that the origin of this object here is still down here. So in the center, where the center of our cylinder is as well. And that's important because we're gonna use a screw modifier. Okay, now let's look at this real quick so we know what I'm, like I said before, I'm not doing real world dimensions here and I'm just eyeballing it. So let's do this, EC, then extrude, extrude, and extrude on the C. Okay. Now, this guy has to be over here, so GX, and with holding Control, we can snap the vertex on the x-axis to the same x value as this one. Same here, GX, and then control, snap it here. So now we have one line going up, and I can play with this guy. This is going to be our thread. Okay, now let me disable the sub D real quick. Now, we're gonna add a modifier, and that's gonna be the screw modifier. So this has been done, like I said before, in several tutorials, and here we need to set the same, hold on, let me disable this and shade flat so we can, and here too. We want this up here, and we want it like this. So here you can see we had 32 divisions for the cylinder, so we have to do the same thing here with the screw modifier, and we can set that here, 32. So now we have the same thing. Remember, this is a separate object, but we're going to join it later. Now the screw value here, this guy, this lets us create this sort of spiral. Okay, now the question is, how far should this screw modifier go? And it should go so that they overlap, or they actually touch perfectly here. So what value is that? We can go into edit mode, and we can use the measure tool. And by hitting Control again, we can snap to the vertex, and then just click, drag down here, snap to that vertex. And now we have the value here. Sadly, we can't just copy that value. We have to type it in. But now you can see I set the screw height to exactly this value. And by the way, by hitting X, you can remove measurements, as long as you're in the measure tool. Okay, so that's it. And then we do 2 iterations, and that's gonna be our screw top. This looks a little bit too tall. Okay, so let's bring this in like that. We can also bring this one up, measure again. Whoops, I forgot to hit Control to snap, and then snap here. Now let me put that in here. 155363, I guess. Okay, does that look about right? Yeah, you can play with the dimensions, or if you're modeling this based on a reference image, then you will have better dimensions. However, I'm gonna stick with this. I'm happy with this. Okay, so how do we attach this to that? Well, we're gonna have to apply the screw modifier. We're happy with it, right? So we have the 32 dimensions. We have 2 iterations so that we have 2 full rotations. Yeah, let's just apply the screw modifier. Now we can go into edit mode, and by going to the line selection mode, I'm gonna select this, and then Control select this one, which selects this entire loop from this line to that line. Now I can extrude C, bring that down, and then I can go scale C0. Let me just move this up so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so now we have this. We're gonna need the same thing up there. But before we do that, let's think about what we have to do here. Okay, over here, so if we just fill this with a face here, then the sub D modeling is gonna have horrible normals and super weird artifacts, and it's not gonna look very nice. So what we always want for sub D modeling is quad-based topology, which means rectangles, right? So quads with 4 vertices. So what do we do? How do we do this here? Well, first of all, I want this vertex here, this one, to fade in like this so that it goes like this way, right? So I can move this guy, and remember, this is, if we look at it from the front, this is all the way on the right. So if we look at it from the top, we're working over here. So if we move this vertex on the x-axis all the way to where these vertices are, and then we're good. So GX, hit Control, snap to this, and then this should give us this end piece here. We could move this one in also, but let's leave it for now. So now we ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertices over here and just 2 over here. And like I said, this is where people spend a lot of time, and I don't see the point, because usually when you render this, nobody's going to notice, and you usually also don't render this close up, so you won't see any horrible artifacts. So how do we get a quad here? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hit F. This is a quad, even though it looks like a triangle, but it has 4 vertices. Same thing down here. And then look at this, we have another one here. So we have quad-based topology, right? So if we enable our sub D, oh, you know why this doesn't look good? Because I forgot one thing, and that is by applying the screw modifier, we actually have multiple vertices in the same spots here. So in edit mode, we go to mesh, clean up, merge by distance, and that should removed 33. Yeah, perfect. So now this should look fine. See, looks fine. So no need to spend forever to do the perfect quad-based topology. This is good enough. Okay, now let's do the same thing up here. Let's switch off this again. Line selection. We want this all the way to over here. Doesn't this work? This from here to here. It takes this as the shortest path. Well, then we have to go this way. Okay. Oh, I don't want this one. Okay, now extrude C, bring this up. Then scale on the C to 0 to have them all at the same height. And then again, we have the same thing here. We go GX, snap to here. And then these 4 can be a face, and these 4 can be a face. And then these can be a face. Whoopsie. These 4. All right. So this is pretty much done. Now, of course, this up here doesn't need to be that far up. I don't know about this one down here. That seems pretty good. And now this is the top here. So over here we have the cycles render. And on the cycles render, this looks just fine, I think. Okay, so how do we attach this to there? Well, first of all, let's bring them down. Disable this again. Just basically to the same here, same height. And then shift select this one. Control J to make one object out of it. However, again, we have duplicate vertices here because they were separate objects. So really all we have to do is, again, mesh, clean up, merge by distance. We removed 32, which is exactly one loop. So now this is attached. Perfect. Now it's one object. It's one pill bottle. And if we enable our subdivision, it looks, why does it look like this? There is something wrong. Do we have an issue with normals here? Face orientation. Oh yeah, so we have flipped normals here. Okay, so select everything, mesh, normals, recalculate outside, so everything is blue and the inside is red. And then that horrible stuff here is gone. Now, of course, we can select all of that on the top and bring it down because we don't need it to be that far up. All right, nice looking. Let me save quick. Okay, so of course we need some thickness. Again, we can go shade smooth. With the sub D modifier, we now have a very nice looking thread, very nice looking bottle. However, it has no thickness. Now you might think, okay, let's just add a solidify modifier. And here is where you start to see some of the issues because we did not make a very nice topology. Because you can see here, we have this extreme triangle here, this quad, that's really a horrible quad. And that gives us this thing. Now you can get away with this if you're really not rendering it too close. Or the other solution would be to not use a solidify modifier and just select this, extrude scale, GC, and sort of model the inside of your bottle. So extrude C, go down, then extrude Yeah, see, go down here, scale out. We're gonna need an edge loop in here. Then take this, extrude C, GZ, bring it all the way down here. Okay, and just close up the bottom, same thing, extrude, scale, extrude, scale, extrude, scale, and then F, right? So we have a nice inside. We just modeled it and didn't use a modifier. That's perfectly fine. Now our bottle has some thickness and we can play with the thickness up here if this is not thick enough. Let's see. Bring this up and take this one, scale them in. So it looks like a plastic bottle. I also have a material for this bottle, which is this brown bottle. Let me enable the plane, look through the camera, and that's what it looks like. All right, now, where is my camera? Over there. So I really want to turn this bottle, rotate C so that we can actually see what we did. And we can see our thread here. Okay, bottle is done. You know what? I kind of think this is a bit boring down here. So how about we add another edge loop in here and move that up a little. Actually, bring it out. Add another one here. Bring that up a little. Add another one here. Cheesy, bring that up a little. Are we getting something more interesting looking down here? So it doesn't look so boring. Just don't want it to stick through the inside. Oops. Yeah, see, it looks a little bit more interesting in here now. How do we do the same thing for a cap for this bottle? Well, easy again. We just go select all of this, shift. That's not enough. That's not enough. We have to take all of this. Okay, shift D, escape, P, separate by selection, and this is our cap. Okay, so if I hide the bottle, I have a cap here. Now let me go into edit mode and get rid of everything on the inside real quick. So let's see. Oh, this is already pretty perfect. Okay, now all we really need to do is take this edge, but without this and that, and without this and that, and scale it inwards. So Shift C to bring inwards. Okay. So now we have the thing sticking to the inside. And in edit mode, we can now model the outside part quick. What is this loop? I think we don't need this. Okay, now let's bring this out. So extrude a scale outwards, extrude C down, extrude C down, GC. Oh, actually, we have to go down quite a bit, like this, even further maybe. And now again, extrude a scale, but inwards. Extrude scale in, extrude scale in, extrude scale in. One more, then F. Then we need a loop here. We already have a loop up there. probably should bring this up and in to make it a little bit more rounded. All right. So now what do we have on the inside? Let me just hide what we just made on the outside. Control plus, by the way, then H to hide it. And so we are left with the inside, which is this loop here. Yep. So same thing again. We're going to do the inside now. Extrude scale, extrude scale, extrude scale F. And also I think I'm going to add another loop out here. Okay, so that's the inside. Now let's look at this real quick in rendered view. This should not have the bottle material, it should have the cap material, which is black. And then you know how sometimes in these screw bottles for like pills or something, they have those white inlays, which are sort of like a seal, I think. So really easy. I'm just gonna select this loop, Control plus, select all of that. Use the cap inlay and assign that. And that's just a white material. So my cap looks like this. Cool. Okay, object, set origin to geometry, and then bring that down. Where is my plane? Oh, it's still floating. Okay. I don't have the plane at the 0 line here, which is stupid, but let's just look over here, look through the camera. Okay, enable the bottle. And now we can arrange this a little bit. Let's bring that over here with the bottle in the background, which is also very unusual. But let's just place it here so we have a nice look at the inside here. Yeah, and that's it. One light, one HDR. Usually, if you've seen any of my product visualization videos on my channel, I'm not a fan of HDRIs for product visualizations, but of course in this case where you want to actually look at nice reflections and stuff, this is actually pretty nice. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about my horrible topology. Like I said before, I've done this several times in the past, and I've done product visualizations for online shops, for Amazon, and that kind of stuff. Nobody ever said anything, and you can get away with a lot of little tricks like these, because the customer looking at this product in the online shop doesn't know what it looks like. So, right? So it has a screw top that's obviously visualized. That's good to know if you're buying this product. But other than that, really the details don't matter as long as you don't have horrible topology and super horrible artifacts. But as you can see here, even though we have these like horrible triangles up top here, this kind of thing, it looks just fine. It renders fine. Maybe you can see it if you're doing animation. Maybe you can see some, but I can't see it. I think it looks perfect. And this is really the fastest way that I can think of doing this kind of stuff. Now, one other thing, maybe I should mention this in case this is now too round for you, because the roundness here all comes from the sub D modifier now. Really, we have only this loop, then we have this loop out here, and then we have another one down here. So if this is too round, if this part here is too round for you, you can always select that loop, and maybe also select that loop down here, and then hit N and bring up the mean crease and bring that in a little, because the sub D modifier uses the crease. You can see we can make it really sharp or just slightly rounded. Yeah, so this is it. Oh, my bottle is kind of sticking through at the bottom. No, this is... If you liked this video or completely hated it, write a comment. The finished blend file of what you're seeing right here is available at patreon.com/ChrisP. I hope you learned something new, and subscribe and support below, and see you soon.